Hey y'all, Blaumagier here, and we're back with another episode of Sonic Origins. Last time, we got through the first two zones of Sonic 1 and collected 4 Chaos Emeralds. And this time we're going to continue on. We're starting in the Spring Yard Zone today, which is Sonic 1's pinball-like zone. There's lots of springs and bumpers and lots of high-speed segments. Lots of verticality to the stage. If we get up here, we can get a coin and some speed boots. Speed boots are a little bit deceptive. You're very likely to run into something in this stage if you're not careful. These buzz bombers here are probably some of the most annoying ones if you want to keep your 50 rings to get to the special stage at the end. And to contrast the segments with the high speed, like the speed boots, we have these boxes that we have to just wait to get past. Whenever you go down a hill, you can expect a blue ball that pretends to be Sonic to show up. You don't want to try and jump on it while it's rolled up in a ball. If you just come to a stop, then it will eventually unfold itself and be vulnerable. Definitely want to be careful of all of the bike traps going around. The walls do contain some hidden alcoves like this one. But here we have to go up into these slow-moving boxes once again. The biggest issue to worry about in these slow-moving boxes is getting crushed in between two boxes. But besides that, also the buzz bombers. This purple spike guy, you can kill him by rolling into him, but honestly, it's probably best to just avoid it altogether if you can. Gotta be careful with these orbiting spikes. We can probably get our 50 rings again, as long as we're careful to not get hit again. Take care of these crab meat up here, and we can actually take a shortcut to the end and not risk losing our rings once again. And jump into the big ring, and that is the end of Act 1. And here we are in the 5th special stage. This is another one that you probably won't have much trouble with as long as you follow the rings. Just make sure you look before you leap, because there are actually some rings leading into exits. Generally, you want to take the bigger area you can go through. Like right here. And definitely don't want to wind up in that goal up there. And once you get in here, it's just a matter of breaking away the colored bricks to get to the emerald in the center. It's not the easiest thing because of the bumpers, though. Once you break away the center, though, grab the emerald and it's fine. We just have one left to go. And that brings us to Act 2 of the Spring Yard Zone. More of the same, really. One thing I didn't talk about in the first episode is Sonic's moveset there. I just showed off the spin dash and the drop dash. In the original Genesis ROM, Sonic didn't actually have either of these abilities. Spin dash has been added to a few different ports of Sonic 1, mainly the 2006 Game Boy Advance port, which is widely considered one of the worst renditions of a Sonic game ever. And the other one that's known for is actually the game that was ported to this collection, which would be the, I think it was 2011 version of Sonic 1. The main thing that sets this apart from the original release of it on mobile phones back then is that they added the drop dash from Sonic Mania into this one. Anyway, there are plenty of rings here, but no need to get, overconfident. Grabbing that shield down there can be a bit of a pain, but it's worth it if you want to get the special stage at the end. We just gotta be careful not to run into spikes going down this hill here. And when this spike clears away, we can jump on this red spring. And jump across these extending platforms. A lot of platforming going on here. And once we reach the end, we are basically at the end. Just run along and jump into our final big ring. I say final, but if I wasn't playing Sonic Origins, I very well could have to get a big ring in another stage if I fail. But if I fail here, I can just use coins to retry. So, anyway, the emerald's right here where we start. It looks extremely easy to get, but let me assure you, this is a bit deceptive. Gravity is just not really on your side for this. The bumpers are placed in such a way that makes it really hard to actually get into where the multicolored bricks are. And of course, with the outside of the bricks being the weaker colors, you're likely to destroy that. Because that's kind of your backbone, to be able to get into a position where you can destroy the inner bricks. And of course, if the speed goes up, then not going to be a whole lot you can really do about it. And speaking of using coins to retry, we're going to spend one here. Because I'm getting this emerald. This will be the last rotating Barfy special stage we see for this run. It's important to use the influence that you do have on Sonic to try and keep him over the colored bricks that you want him on. This is a very difficult stage compared to how it kind of presents itself. I really haven't pointed out the background, how we've got birds in the background, and they eventually morph into fish. Not really sure what the motivation behind this background imagery was. It does kind of lend to the whole psychedelic drug trip aspect that this really makes me think of. And even though the way to the Emerald is open, I am just having the hardest time getting in there. And we're in there. That does it. We have all 6 Chaos Emeralds. Sonic got them all. Another change in this version of Sonic 1 that I like is that the Chaos Emeralds don't flicker like they do in the Genesis version. They just kind of flash in and out. Anyway, that brings us to Spring Yard Zone Act 3. Once again, we can get a shield if we go down here. We don't have to worry about having 50 rings when we beat any stages anymore. Not that we could get a special stage on this stage anyway. But shields are still nice. They are still a free hit. And especially if you're trying to farm lives, if you're playing on a version that has lives. You know, you'll want to hang on to as many rings as you can for as long as you can, because every 100 rings is a life. And the version we're playing, it gets you a coin, so it's still useful. You know, those are our retries for the special stages. They are also used to unlock things in the museum. We'll destroy those crab meats so they're not a problem for us later. Now when we jump down here, we have a little alcove over to the right that we can get into with some goodies. If I can get into it. Having a little bit of trouble getting in there. Maybe if I don't spin to it. There we go. We'll get some invincibility and speed boots, which will allow us to race this moving block here to the end. We don't want to take that spring. I said we don't want to take that spring. If I could get over this, hurry. There we go. We get some goodies, another shield, and honestly, a little bit faster of a path to the boss. Take this spring and, fall to our death. Well, that was kind of rude. Let's try that again, shall we? Deploy the spring. Get over the hill, first try this time. Let's not get hit by the spike trap. And hold back a little so we don't go careening off into the pit. And we just make our way across these moving platforms here. And we will reach our next boss. Now this arena is edited a little, but the barricades that come up on the sides do make it still play like the 4x3 version of it. Now the gimmick here is Eggman will drive a spike down into the platform you're standing on. He will only do it once per pass. And you can actually hit him as he bobs up and down when he is actually at the lower part of his bobbing, and I suggest using that to your advantage. That strategy, of course, won't work if you're playing as Knuckles because he has a lower jump height. And that brings us into everybody's favorite zone, Labyrinth Zone. So watch out for these burrow bots here. Sometimes they can be difficult to see, because until they jump out, the only thing you can see is their drill nose. So we've got these bubble piles here that occasionally spawn big bubbles that allow you to breathe. If you don't collect them, eventually you'll get a countdown timer and some really anxiety-inducing music to stress the urgency. Now this level can be really long, but there is actually a little bit of a secret here at the beginning that most people wouldn't know about. And you need to hit a switch and then come back up on a rising platform. So we'll try that here. And it looks like that was actually the wrong switch. I guess it must be the switch on the platform. So we'll try that again. Oh, well, that's not going to be the way to hit the switch. Let me respawn that. No, I guess I didn't go far enough to respawn it. I don't want to miss this, so we'll just restart the act. Give me just a moment and we'll get back there real quick. Drop dash is really helpful for getting around in the water here, because you do move slower normally. Spin dash is also quite useful. Alright, let's try this again. I wanted to wait until that air bubble passes because it can interrupt our jump here to get back up. And there! Pressing that switch spawned this tiny little platform that we can jump on and ride across the top of the water. Over to this secret area over here. If you're playing as Tails or Knuckles, you could probably get over there without the platform, but Sonic and Amy need the platform. This stage is normally like a 4 or 5 minute stage, but if you go this way, it becomes like a minute and a half. It's a huge shortcut through the stage. Definitely recommend it, because, the only thing I will say is if you still need Chaos Emeralds, you cannot get 50 rings taking the shortcut. You'll have to go through the stage normally to get 50 rings. With that out of the way, let's move on to Act 2. Once again, we start out on dry land, and we got these water slides. Much like Act 1, this stage is a long slog through a lot of underwater, where you're moving slowly and having to desperately wait for air bubbles to survive. There are reasons why people don't like Labyrinth Zone. Anyway, there's the anxiety-inducing music I was talking about. Over here, we're gonna grab the shield real quick, and then not get hit by the badniks. Hit the red spring, and hit this ring monitor to reveal a hidden switch, which opens the path forward over here. Be careful of these faces in the wall, they do shoot fireballs. Of course, you also want to be wary of the spike balls and the spears in the walls. But with invincibility, we don't have to worry about that too much. We just want to go as fast as we can, getting through as much of this underwater nightmare as we can before it wears off. I wouldn't even worry about breathing until after it wears off. Alright, over here we got an Orbinaut. He hasn't aggroed us yet, so we'll get our air bubble and then aggro him and just kind of wait for him to throw his 4 spike balls at us, which will expose his center. We'll grab another air bubble for safety and jump on these platforms here. And be ready to switch over to another set of platforms unless you want to get squished on some spikes. And with that, we're done with Act 2. And off we go into Act 3. Now, I'm gonna tell you guys, I think Labyrinth Zone has the hardest boss in this whole entire game. And some people may be raising an eyebrow at that statement, because you don't actually have to fight this boss. It's more of a race through an obstacle course. It's just, the obstacle course is really difficult. But we gotta get through a whole stage before we get to that point. So we will, once again, dodge obstacles while moving slowly through a lot of water, desperately reaching for air bubbles. Again, be careful of the spears. I definitely recommend taking advantage of the spin dash to get through some of these sections, particularly with the retracting spikes. Over here we can jump through these spike balls by standing harmlessly in their chains. Just don't touch the spike balls themselves like I did. Bounce off these burrow bots to get onto another conveyor belt platform. This one actually takes us over a bunch of spikes, but if we ride over this way, we get an invincibility box. We can hit that switch to continue onward. Hit that switch as well. And do what we do best with invincibility, and just go as fast as we can through the stage. Take full advantage of our inability to die for the most part. They can still drown, get crushed, or fall in a pit, but of those, really only drowning is an issue in this stage. And when we get over here, and grab the shield, and then worry about the air bubble. And we're nearing the end here. Just make sure you don't fall when jumping across these platforms. And don't let yourself get hit by a spike ball. They can intersect with some of the platforms. Up here, we're going to ride these platforms up to the switch, which will reverse the flow. And then I'm going to unnecessarily try to take some shortcuts. I probably could have made that last one, but alas, I did not. We're gonna make sure we hit this checkpoint because this is the final checkpoint. If you missed the quirks like I did, just go all the way back to the waterfall and the water level will go back down. You're not permanently screwed out of getting onto it. And then from here, we just want to jump with as few mistakes as possible, going up as far as we can. We really want to beat the water level up here if at all possible. There's another shield if you need it, but there is Eggman just waiting for us. Honestly, I wouldn't even try to hit him. You can defeat him. He takes 8 hits like normal, but doesn't change anything. You still have to race him to the top here. The true enemy is the obstacles. Perhaps the most dangerous thing about this obstacle course is if the water catches up to you, which will greatly slow you down. And that brings us to Starlight Zone, which is actually my favorite zone in the game. It's a really fast zone. There's not very many enemies in it, but the enemies that are in it, like those bombs, you kind of just want to avoid. The bombs you can't actually damage. We can get a coin there by scrolling the staircase off the screen, which will make it retract back up. The Orbinauts here don't actually throw their spikes like they do in the Labyrinth Zone. We gotta avoid these fireball hazards returning from Marble Zone as we go down several sets of staircases. And we'll just keep running along, and we're basically already at the end of Act 1. Got this fan blowing us in the opposite direction. Hit this red spring to make that staircase go down. Get some ring boxes over here. Hit this red spring again because I scrolled that staircase off the screen. Jump up here and we are home free. And we get 2 signposts. It's an odd visual quirk. I don't think this actually happens in the Genesis version. I think you only get 1. But we're gonna go ahead and play through Starlight Zone because it's actually really short. I guess to contrast Labyrinth Zone and how long it is. We'll just spin dash under these Orbinauts. Best to avoid them. Watch out for that red spring at the end, because we need to go down these stairs. Avoid the temptation to spin dash straight into the Orbinaut. Use these seesaw platforms to bounce ourselves up higher. And just jump on past the bombs. Get 50 rings right there in a row. Pretty much giving you a big ring if you still need it. This is actually right here at the end of the stage as well. Less than a minute and we're done with Act 2. And on to Act 3, which is another very short stage. Although, this one might actually be the longest one of the entirety of Starlight Zone. I like to stay towards the top path here. Avoid the fire there and get on this seesaw platform to bounce ourselves up higher. We'll get up here and I guess just stand here and get hit by the exploding bombs. Grab our invincibility box, and we're gonna have to let this one bounce us a couple of times to get enough height. The invincibility box here is mainly only useful for the bombs. It's not gonna serve us much use elsewise here. Oh well. On to the speedy parts, where we just roll around and collect a lot of rings. Got a shield over here, which is basically right before the boss. A little bit more speediness. We can just ignore this seesaw platform. Luckily, there wasn't a pit below us there. We'll just go ahead and run through that Orbinaut, and here we are at the boss. Now, the gimmick here is he's going to use these seesaw platforms. There's 2 ways you can attack him. You can either launch yourself up into him, or you can hit him with the spike balls themselves. They do the same amount of damage either way, so it does not matter. Just do whichever method you prefer. Now, if you're really good, you can get on top of Eggman and just continuously bounce on top of him, but it's not the easiest thing to pull off. But, just like every other Eggman boss, 8 hits will take him down, and it goes a lot faster than you think it would. I like to do the middle one here because there's less downtime, especially if you miss before you get another chance. As long as you're not standing in such a position that makes him not attempt to drop a spike ball on that particular platform. There's our 8 hits, and Eggman is down. Head our egg capsule and release the animals, and that is Starlight Zone. But this is where I'm going to end things off here. This has been Sonic Origins. I am Blaumagier. Leave me a comment if you enjoyed it. Smash that like button. And I'll see you guys next time.